Yeah. So, so the first step was know your why, not your audience's why, but your why. And the second part is what we have mentioned in the chat boxes is about knowing your audience. What is the thing that they will like to take away after your presentation? And if you're doing if you're doing corporate presentations, and sometimes people think that corporate presentations, it's just updating, right? Telling my bosses what I've been doing for the past week, telling someone, this is our progress report. It's pretty boring actually. There's nothing much to share. Even for those kinds of presentations, you got to think about, okay, at the end of my presentation, what is it that I would like my audience to think or do differently? Right, let me repeat. There's a certain goal in that presentation. Whether it's a keynote or just a very basic updating kind of presentation. It's all about at the end of whatever you're doing, what is it that you want your audience to do or to think differently at the end of it, right? So that's the kind of objective that we would like to set for that presentation. So this is just something that we did on LinkedIn some time ago, about last year. So, and I asked a bunch of people, if you were to do a keynote presentation or a workshop, what would be the critical step to build resonance with your audience? And yep, find out about your audience's needs. And on the one hand, yes, there are ways that you can find out your audience's needs live at the event. You can get your audience to say, raise your hands if you are interested in A, B, or C. So that's one way of finding out the audience's needs during the event itself. You can also get people to go into small groups and make a list of the things they would like to address or take away from. So that can be finding out about your audience's needs at the event itself. But a lot of times it's about prior to the event. What is the kind of what are some of the things that the audience would like to know or to get, right? So it's about pre-event, pre-workshop, keynote preparation by finding out and then talking to the audience and asking questions about what they want. Now, the other part about audiences is this. Now, in the audience, you probably are looking or speaking to different groups of people. Or for your keynote, for your upcoming keynote speech or presentation, you may be addressing different groups of people, and different groups of people may have different personas. Now, there is a slight difference between a target audience and a persona. So, just for example, a target audience can be, well, a working mom can also be broadly defined as a target audience. But if I really want to drill down into what kinds of working mom, is that working mom a single mother? Is that working mom someone who's now going into management and needs to do regional work that requires frequent travel, and she has a young child or baby at home? Is that working mom having to work in challenging hours, maybe working 3 shifts or working in the middle of the night, and so on. So you have a target audience that's broader, and then you have a persona that really describes more detail about that person. So in this case, the target audience for the first one on the left can be a working mom, but it can also be a working mom that would like to balance career and family. Maybe she has a busy time at work. Maybe she has huge responsibilities. Maybe she has higher authority at work as well. And as a result, she's going to be very busy and engaged at work. And at the same time, she doesn't want to neglect her family as well. So Maybe it's a working mom that wants to have more balance and tries not to sacrifice one for the other, right? So that could be a certain kind of people that we want to reach out to. Now, early on, when we're talking about the SMART goals, we like to be as specific as we can. So, in that target audience, if you can get to know them earlier, if you can get their profiles earlier, if you can do some survey monkeys and list out a few questions and get a feel about what are their expectations of the presentations or the keynotes, then it allows you to address those concerns with a laser-like focus. Right, so that's one part. It could be a working mom. It could be an offshore engineer who's concerned about how can I communicate the importance of safety. You know, you're offshore engineering. You could be doing some deep sea drilling of oil and gas, and you don't want any mishaps happening in those places. And again, it may not be the safety concerns itself. It could be communicating the importance of safety, right? As an offshore engineer, maybe it's an engineering manager, and they would like to meet some targets of zero accidents over a certain amount of time, and over a certain period of time. And it's not about not having safety standards. It's about communicating the importance, why we should all place emphasis on these safety requirements and what happens. What are the disastrous consequences that could happen if you don't? Right, so that can be another persona. It can be a teacher in a tough neighborhood, and that teacher will want to inspire hope in the students, and how you can do so. Or it can be something that's very corporate, CFO, and the CFO would like to mitigate financial risk, compliance to regulations, and improve financial performance. Looks like a mouthful. The CFO wants to make sure that whatever figures, numbers that is published, it looks great. It looks great to Wall Street. But at the same time, I need to make sure that it's compliant. I need to make sure that it's not overly risky. And how do I balance that? Right. So if you're someone who's in that field, is that something that you would like to address those people? Or it can be a woman entrepreneur, or a senior woman executive, and that she would like to be able to lean in and at the same time be authentic. Right, so it can be a host of various things, and when you are presenting, when you're delivering the speech, you are speaking to their context, to their contextual experiences, and hence you may want to carve out a persona as if that persona is a person that you can have a one-to-one conversation about. And if you're able to relate to the audience like a person, then that's how you make your message more resonative, right? So that's something to think about. So the next breakout, what are if you are planning for your next presentation? Oh yeah, terracing, yes, like the avatar idea. Great, yeah. And if you're planning for the next presentation, or show reel as well, just to digress a little bit about show reels, you don't need to get stuck with just one. You can have different versions of your show reels. Of course, it requires more effort, but you can have different versions of your show reels that address different personas depending on which group of people you're talking at. So what are your audience personas for an upcoming presentation, keynote, or even for a show reel? And how can you resonate with them? What are some of the ways that you can find ways to resonate with them? Right. So the third part is about know your content. So what we have been through is know your why you're doing this, know your audience, what kind of issues are you resolving or addressing with your audience so you can have resonance with the audience. The third part is, hey, your content. How do you make your content great and make it stand out? And I'm sure that since you have been doing, some of you have been in business for like what, 30 years? Wow, that's pretty long. I'm talking to a lot of experienced and senior speakers at the moment, so you probably know what they're doing. Just some things to make sure that your content really hits the nail. Now, if we're talking about cadence in content, so this is how we organize different content for the audience. So at the most basic level, what I have is data. So you get little bits and pieces of data all over the place. It's not even information, because information is organized data, right? So if you organize data, you get information. Now, if you go to a level higher, what we call useful information, that becomes knowledge. So when that information is useful to someone, to your target audience persona, that's knowledge to them. Now, if you're able to make use of that knowledge for certain years to make things better, if you're able to gain deeper understanding of that knowledge, it becomes insights. And when you get lots of insights, you gain wisdom. So, small little quiz. In your keynotes, especially on keynotes, I think we got a number of experienced keynote speakers. I'm going to zoom in into keynotes now. In a keynote, you have 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour to deliver what you need to deliver and gain huge resonance with your target audience. Which of these do you think is the most important in your keynote? Just type into the chat box. You get data, information, knowledge, insights, and wisdom. Which of these do you think is critical to gain resonance in terms of what you want to deliver as content? Any takers? Do you want to type it? And they're all typing together. Great, yeah. Insights. Any more takers? Knowledge? And here it is. It's insights. Now, I'm going to explain why insights. Now, before I explain why insights, I'm going to hear from the audience. D, you're right to say insight, but you're not quite sure. We got 2 question marks. Would you like to unmute and share your thoughts?
I really take it from the approach of what I like when I'm listening, like when I come to these meetings or these labs, I'm looking to take your expertise. Like I know about SMART goals for leadership training, but I didn't think about applying SMART goals to my keynote. So your insight that those same 5 characteristics work for my keynote, just like they do for a training class, that was insight that you shared. So when I'm doing my trainings and my presentations, I want to give you insight from my 25 years of human resources experience. So you say, oh, she's done that, so she can share something about that, and that's going to be more meaningful and it will resonate with me, and I'll take that away.
Absolutely great. The thing about a keynote, especially keynotes or presentations, if you're presenting to your board of directors, that kind of presentation, you are probably condensing, like what Dee mentioned, 25 years of working experience. You are condensing like 500 pages of reports. You are condensing your bestseller in the New York Times into 30 minutes. You don't have a lot of time. And what the audience wants is this. Now, if they really want to have really deep knowledge about everything, they will read the book. Right? If they really want to go into the details of that corporate presentation, they'll go into a spreadsheet. They'll analyze and scrutinize each and every figure that's on that spreadsheet. That's what they'll do. Now, the reason that they're sitting there listening to you presenting about, whether it's that corporate presentation, whether it's that keynote that you want to give, what they really are looking at are the insights. What's in it for me, and how can I use that insights to make my life better or to do a better job? Right? So it's the insights that people want. So it's yeah, in a way, it's everything. They're all interlinked. In a way, there's certain aspects of the knowledge, but it's not just knowledge in general. It's a knowledge about how I can make use of that knowledge to do something or create an impact. It's about that knowledge that is packaged in a way that resonates on a deeper level with the target audience, with the audience. Is that right? So it's just focusing on the insights. Now, if you've ever been to presentations or even keynotes that unfortunately went a little bit over time, and not only that they went over time, but I kind of have a sense that the speaker is trying to cover a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, but you don't seem to get the key message. It's like a lot has been said, but you don't really get what is the key thing in those messages. And usually when that happens, it's because the presenter, the speaker, has not really zoomed in on the insights yet. Right? So focus on the insights. What are the kinds of things that will be the most useful for the audience and how they are going to use it? So everything you mentioned about your personal experiences, how you saw other people have done it before, how your audience can make use of that information and do things for them, those are packaged into the insights that you're going to be delivering to.
And last but not the least, I'd like to put the topic as be authentic. But authentic is it's a term that's a bit abused. So I'll just say be yourself. Be yourself in the sense of you're there, enjoy, have fun. You don't need to take on a totally different persona to be someone else on stage. You can be yourself. Be yourself in the sense that we talk about your why. Why are you doing this topic in the first place? So is there something about the topic, about the audience that resonates with you yourself as well? So what are some of the things, what are the parts of yourself that you also want to put into the mix of your presentation? Right? Be yourself, thirdly, in the way that what will be your preferred modes of your content sharing, your insights that you want to have, and what is the key message that is important to you and the audience? In that sense, you align everything and just be that self and present it to the audience. Ultimately, whenever we got feedback again about certain speakers, certain facilitators that felt like, well, it was generally great content, great sharing, great message, but it kind of felt labored. It kind of felt stiff and not fluid enough. Usually when that happens, it's really the speaker, the facilitator, not being himself or herself enough. There's certain things that the speaker made to make sure that the content was superb, but the speaker forget that, the speaker, yourself, you are part of that message. There is a reason why people chose to attend a keynote or a facilitation. There is a reason why the organizers or the sponsors pay to have you speak. There is a reason why you are on the stage, because you, for whatever you are, the good and the bad, you, for whoever you are part of that message. You are part of that delivery. There is an element of you who is in there. People are there whether they pay money or whether they pay for that attention and time to see you, to experience you, right? If it's just purely your message, if it's just purely your content, you could have written a book, right? The reason you are there on stage is you yourself, you are part of everything. Sometimes it's not at a feedback stage. Sometimes it's during your keynote, your presentation. There could be just one or two minor people that looks disinterested, a little bit disruptive, uncooperative, and you don't want to focus your energy on that minor few. You want to focus on the majority, because it's the majority who appreciates who you are, what you have to say. You don't want to let down that majority. So it really is about adjusting your focus, your attention to the ones that is going to work out for you. There are people who are just not non-expressive. It's not they don't like you. It's just them. I think someone said, it's a last slide before this slide. It's really be yourself and have fun, as someone was mentioning. And yeah, absolutely. If you chose speaking to be your job, your career, then you might as well enjoy it. So yeah, be yourself and enjoy it.